Today we are talking about the worst parts of every single Mario game. And yes, I'm mainly talking mainline, but at the same time, not really, because I am doing games like the Yoshi series and also the Luigi's Mansion series and the Mario RPGs. And a lot of people might say, Nintendo Land, what about the Mario Party games? Well, I'm just not all super familiar with some of the older Mario Parties. I'd have to go back and remember what made them good and what made them bad. So I will not be doing any of the Mario Parties, and I will not be doing any of the Mario sports titles. And I'll be listing more than just one bad thing for some of these games. And quick disclaimer, because I have to do this, there will be comments thinking I hate Mario now. No, I love pretty much every single game on this list, with a few exceptions. But yes, this is just a video picking out the bad parts from all of these Mario games. So just getting that heads up. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Real quick, before we get started, if you enjoy videos like this, please let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. This helps out a lot, and also comment down below. It helps the algorithm for more videos like this in the future. Let's see from this video alone how many new subscribers that we can pull in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's dive into the video. Also, since this list is pretty long, we won't be spending a super long time on each individual game, but we are starting off with the classic series, obviously with Super Mario Bros. Honestly, the worst parts of this game, I'd say, is the lack of themes. It's kind of like the same overworld, the same underground, and the same water levels, and the same lava levels. It's only like 4 different themes repeated throughout the entirety of the game. It's also really control wonky. Like, it doesn't control the greatest, and especially after going back to it today, it's very wonky the way it controls and feels very stiff at times. And another complaint would be it's the same Bowser boss fight every single time. As someone who hasn't played the Lost Levels in a very long time, I guess it's just maybe the bad thing is there's nothing new. I would also say maybe it's like really difficult. There are some levels with like springs and wind that can be pretty difficult, but overall it's just kind of the same game but harder. For Super Mario Bros. 2, I'd say the worst part is just it's a completely different game. We all know it's Doki Doki Panic reskin for Mario, but it's just not the same mechanics. You can't just jump on enemies' heads. You actually have to jump on them, pick them up, and throw things, and it's a lot tighter controls and slower movement. It does feel like the black sheep of all the Mario Brothers games, but I will say it's not that bad. I actually really enjoy this game. Super Mario Bros. 3. What is there bad to say about Mario Bros. 3? Well, personally, I know this is more of a skill issue thing, but I've always found this game to be stupid hard, especially the last couple of worlds. And when you die and lose all your lives, you might be at the end of the world. You have to go all the way back. Sometimes finding the right path to get to the end of the world is sometimes very frustrating, where you'll run into Hammer Bros, or you'll have to go through a specific level and complete it, and you'll realize, shoot, I had to go back through the path I already did and complete the alternate level because this path doesn't lead me to the end. It can get very frustrating, especially when you lose all your progress and have to restart that world. So yeah, I definitely say probably the difficulty, especially in-game. For Super Mario Land, I'd say it's very short and very weird dated graphics. It looks very strange compared to any other Mario Brothers game. I mean, genuinely speaking, you really can't even tell sometimes that that's Mario. It just looks so strange and weird and pixelated. And there's only really one power-up, I think, in the entire game, being the Super Ball. So yeah, it's pretty lackluster in my opinion, even though I know it has its fans. Another game. What in the world do we say the worst part of Super Mario World is? This is a near flawless game. But I'd say the boss battles are pretty whack and repetitive, and I think every Koopaling has an alternative boss battle with another Koopaling that essentially works the same way, and it has a stupid repetitive boss of Reznor, which I hate this boss with a passion. Even when it returned in New Super Mario Bros. 2, it's just very whack. It's a Ferris wheel of dinosaurs, and you just bump the block underneath them. I hated this thing as a kid, and I hate it now. Super Mario Land 2 is actually a fun game with fun hub worlds and level designs and even enemy creatures. I really like this game, but I feel like the worst part is probably how easy it is. It's very easy and very short, and a lot of that is also due to the bosses. The bosses in this game are just boring. There's nothing else to really say about it, and they're just basic enemies that are just extremely boring. They can be easily gimped with a lot of Mario power-ups and just a lot of the situations that Mario's in, and you can take a lot of them out in literally under a minute. Next up, we move on to the 3D era, baby, with Super Mario 64. Obviously, there is one big blaring complaint here, and that is the camera controls. Yes, the camera controls is very wacky and get stuck in a lot of corners and walls and places of this game, and it's an infamous part of this game for sure. I'd also say the vagueness with some of the missions, like in Hazy Maze Cave, can be so annoying, and the TikTok hands of that world are just very frustrating to learn as well when you have to jump in at the right time to get varying different speeds of the clockworks, and it just is very complicated for a child. Also, what's the consensus when it comes to the Mario wing cap controls? Because I personally hate them, and I always hated doing this mission. Just flying down and swooping up over and over again. It was just really annoying and hard to control and hard to aim him. Mario Sunshine is perfect, and there are no flaws. Moving on. No, seriously. I love this game to death. It's seriously my favorite Mario game still, but I understand it has issues. For one, the underwater levels are so bad because you have to use FLUDD to pretty much just float up and down. There's no like actual underwater swimming. The pachinko machine is infamous, of course, because it also shows how buggy this game can be and how unfinished it is. There are so many little bugs and glitches and weird movements that Mario can do in certain areas. It's not the greatest there, but also blue coins for a lot of people. Personally, I love collecting the blue coins, but even I admit when it comes to collecting every single one, you'll definitely need a guide, because even after playing this game over hundreds of times, I still forget where a couple blue coins are because they're just so daggone well hidden. I mean, there's some that you literally just spray a jar or spray a certain specific crack in a wall in order to get a blue coin appear, and it's just not fun. Also, considering the fact that these blue coins can sometimes be in only specific levels, so you'd probably have to scour the top to bottom every single world and every single level over and over again until you find all the coins, which no one wants to do. For New Super Mario Bros. DS, for me, the worst part was the secret paths leading into the new and alternative worlds. This was cool that there were some secret worlds and all, but the way you got to them was so annoying. You had to take a mini mushroom for the most part to the very end of the level and use Mini Mario in order to defeat the boss, which means you had to ground pound this time, and you were pretty much very weightless and tiny, so it was hard to see him and control him at times. But if you managed to defeat the boss, you then were able to slip through a crack in order to get to the bonus world, which I hated this growing up, and mostly because mini mushrooms did not grow on trees in this game. For Super Mario Galaxy, I feel like for a lot of people, it was the comet missions. A lot of them were just super repetitive, and going back to a world just to collect 100 purple coins was very tedious. I enjoyed the purple coin collection, but I see why a lot of people didn't. Or missions where you had to defeat a very difficult boss like Boulder Geist with only one heart. Another problem would probably be the gimmick stars where you had to use motion controls or tilt controls in order to get Mario to go to a specific spot, and there was a whole little separate galaxy for that with green stars, and yeah, they're not great. But I'd also say entering and exiting stages over and over again was kind of annoying in this game, because you'll be doing a lot of that. Most of the time spent is just flying back into the area that you were in and then going back into the galaxy in order to get another star. And yeah, you'll spend lots of your time just going in and out of different galaxies or in and out of different areas of Rosalina's observatory. If I had to stretch it even more, I'd say probably Mario feels very stiff in this game. I know it's a linear 3D Mario game, but he feels very stiff and like he's unable to do some moves and flexibility that he can in other games. For New Super Mario Bros. Wii, I'd say the main problem is the hectic multiplayer. There's so much going on when there's 4 players on screen, and people picking each other up and tossing each other around, where some people love this thing. I absolutely hate it, and it just always ruined the experience for me. When I was really trying to collect a coin or just have a good time and actually reach the end of the level as a team, we are all bumping into each other and throwing each other around, and with the friends that you have growing up, really depends on how you feel about this game. My friends, we would never finish a world. Also, this is not a proper example on screen right now because this is just pure fresh movement because it's a tool-assisted speedrun that I found online, so just ignore that fact. Super Mario Galaxy 2, it has very tedious green stars. There's like 3 green stars that you can go back and collect in each world, and they are very, very annoying to find. Some of them are well hidden off screen that you just have to know is there, and once you even know it's there, sometimes it makes you take a leap into like a black hole and barely get the green star before falling in. It's just very tedious, especially with the fact of going in and out of the levels. Once again, like Galaxy 1, you'll be doing that a lot, putting in most of your time just going in and out of levels for these green stars. I specifically remember this one from Upside Dizzy Galaxy as a kid and literally dying hundreds of times trying to get this stupid star. For New Super Mario Bros. 2, it's definitely the stupid coin gimmick. I mean, literally the whole point of this game is coins, and it definitely shows because nothing else is very original. It's just literally a big collect-a-thon of coins. Every single stage is based around collecting coins. The whole game is coins, and there's no point of collecting these coins because they don't do anything. All they do is show you how many coins you have, and trying to reach that coveted million coins is just not worth it. For New Super Mario Bros. U, I know you can just complain about it being the same New Super Mario Bros. Formula again, very bland, very basic worlds, very basic enemies, but I will take it a bit further and say the gamepad player has the worst part of this game. Like, your literally job in boost mode is to place blocks. That's all you're doing, is placing blocks along the stage to help the players that are playing. So as a 5th player, you're just kind of cheating in a way, It's stupid, it doesn't work well, and people trying to actually help you ends up them just trying to kill you, because I remember my dad wanted to do that, and he just continuously would block my path in certain areas. We would try to do some of those missions by working together as he was placing blocks as I was jumping, but they never did work out that well, and I just thought it was a stupid addition. Once again, this is exactly what it looks like when it's actually played well, but yeah, just looking at this is giving me anxiety and stressing me out already. I would never want to do this, whether it be me placing the blocks or me just playing the game. For Super Mario 3D World, I'd say it's the stupid missions of getting to the top of the flag in every single world, and also completing the level and reaching the flag with every single player, with every single stage, is so annoying. But if you want that 100%, you have to do it. If I had to choose anything else, it'd probably just once again be hectic multiplayer. It's just like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but this time in a 3D space. But man, those missions, they haunted me for a while. But I did complete them on the Wii U, not on the Switch yet. For Super Mario Odyssey, I feel like this one's pretty easy. It's definitely the easiness of the moons. There are way too many moons and way too many easy ways to get some of them. Like ground pound here, oh, lift this rock, step on this switch. So I completely get it. Yeah, the lack of more mission structure did kind of make this game a little bit just go collect moons everywhere collectathon, which I still really much loved, but it is a big downfall. And it's also very, very, very short when you think about it in other terms of other 3D Mario games. It's just a very quick and easy game to get through. I mean, if you're not going for all the moons and just want to get from start to finish, you could probably do so in around 4 to 5 hours. I'm being completely serious. For Bowser's Fury, there was a couple things that weren't the greatest. For instance, it was super, super short. I know it was a side game to Mario 3D World and was kind of like a test to something bigger, and I think that was its own fault. It's just very short, and yeah, replaying it, it's just always shorter because you know what to do. I mean, you can beat the main game in about an hour and a half to 2 hours, 100% in 3 to 4 hours. Very, very short, but my also complaint would be Bowser appearing a little too much, where he went from a giant creepy threat to more of a timed event that would happen every so often. It was kind of annoying after a while, and after fighting him the first couple times, I didn't want to keep fighting this same boss over and over. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is such a unique and creative game where most of the complaints might be it might be a little too easy, but the main one that just really irked me to the core: bosses. You only have 4 main bosses in this game outside of the final boss, and they're all Bowser Jr., and they're all incredibly boring. How in the world did this game have such a unique premise with the Wonder Flower and Wonder Effects and really had the most boring boss battles ever? Not to mention that some worlds didn't even have a final boss battle of that world. Instead, it was just like walk into this Poplin house and hey, here's your Royal Seed, which just felt so anticlimactic, especially with how long they had to produce this game. Now, like I said earlier, we will be jumping into some other Mario series, for instance, the Mario RPG series, so which means we kind of had to start with the first one, with Mario RPG. Sometimes the game can be kind of vague as to what to do next or where to go, but even that one is probably not like something that I'd really put on the worst part of this game. Maybe the stupid tadpole minigame at the very beginning I wasn't a fan of, or getting the coveted 100 jumps to get the super suit, which is very, very difficult to do because this game has weird button timing presses. Sometimes the button timing is not exactly what it looks like when Mario's jumping, and sometimes learning the new ones for all the characters can be a little tricky. Now moving on to Paper Mario. For Paper Mario 64, this is hard to pick one thing that was like bad about this game. I liked everything about it for the most part. If I had to pick an area, I'd probably say Flower Fields towards the end of the game because it brings the game, at least in my opinion, to a pretty harsh halt. Trying to figure out what to do, where to go, and all the backtracking. It's probably one of my least favorite chapters, and I just wasn't a fan, and towards the end of the game, it really slowed things down. For Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, I definitely say backtracking as well, because the Trouble Center side quests in this game are extremely bad. I didn't know exactly how bad because I kind of skipped them as a kid on the original, but after playing them in the remake, these are just atrocious. Even with backtracking being fixed with the new pipe system, I absolutely hate these Trouble Center quests. It's just grab this thing, bring it here, bring this thing to another person, talk to them, bring it back, just traveling from world to world, talking to characters. It's not fun. And for Super Paper Mario, you could just say the fact that this game is a whole 2D platformer instead of an RPG, but besides that, it's once again the backtracking, because when you have to go back to flip and flop side to find the heart pillars after each chapter, some of these heart pillars are hidden so far away. I mean, you literally have to travel through multiple different floors and areas in order to find find them just to go all the way back to the chapter door so that way you can move on to the next chapter. It's kind of tedious. Not to mention there's so many alternate pathways that's hidden within the 3D plane that you have to look out for, which is just a constant swap between 2D and 3D over and over again. For Sticker Star, of course, we can probably all guess this. The battle system is probably the worst part, considering the fact that you get no XP and it's just a bland battle system using stickers that you find in the overworld. It also has bland world design because you still have your grasslands, of course, your jungle, your snow world, your lava. It's pretty basic, and gimmicky boss battles with thing stickers this time around, meaning that you need that specific thing sticker, and if you don't have it, you can't beat the boss. Also, the fact that there's no partners in this game is kind of bad. Color Splash is mostly bad for some of these same reasons. For instance, another bad battle system that just replaces the stickers with cards. Once again, no XP. You'll only battle in order to get paint to paint some areas, but also gimmicky boss battles return with thing cards instead of thing items, and once again, no partners. At least the world design is a lot better and there's some more unique areas in this game. Origami King was actually a lot better than what people give it credit for, but I will say eventually the battle system in this game does get tiring because they start repeating some ring layouts and you start recognizing them, and towards the end game you'll probably get tired of battling, even though it is kind of interesting and unique in the beginning of the game. The boss battles are great in my opinion, but some later on in the game, like the scissors, are very, and I mean very difficult, where they require very specific paths to take and things to do, where you'll probably be restarting over and over again. I think this is one of the first times ever in Paper Mario history that I had to restart a boss battle almost 10 times because of how difficult it was. And once again, no partners in this game. I love Bobby, but no, I don't count characters like him that join up on your team for a little bit, like Bobby or Professor Toad or even Kamek. Next up, we move on to Mario and Luigi, and starting off we have Superstar Saga, which I would say is the eventual backtracking towards the end of the game. There's a lot of things that you have to go back and find in past worlds and areas, but for me, the most difficult part and most annoying part, and I know a lot of people like this area, but for me, at least as a kid, and even when I revisit it when I got older, was Joke's End. I hated this area. I liked how they separated Mario and Luigi and you had to do different things separate, but there was so many obscure, crazy things that you had to do where I felt like almost sometimes a guide was necessary. You'd get lost so often and you wouldn't know what bro to send where and where you're supposed to meet up and what you're supposed to do. I don't like this place. I'm going to be completely honest when I say this. I could not find a negative with Mario and Luigi partners in time that at least affected me to the core where I needed to talk about it. And I went online and looked at what people really hated about the game. And for a lot of people, it was the constant switching between the older bros and the younger bros. And I saw a lot of people also hate how much dialogue and cutscenes are in this game. But the most thing I kept coming across is people saying how hard this game was, and I can kind of understand that because as a kid I was never able to finish the ending. It's a constant series and gauntlet of boss battles with Princess Shroob, her older sister Elder Shroob, and then her Elder Shroob true form, and then the ghost of Elder Shroob. So yeah, there was a lot of things at the end, and I can see why some people find this extremely difficult. And you have to control Mario, Luigi, Baby Mario, and Baby Luigi in battle and the overworld. For Bowser's Inside Story, I'd say probably the biggest complaint, because this is another one that was really hard for me to pick, would probably be for me the 2D sections. I don't like the 2D sections in Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and the same thing with Dream Team. I felt like they kind of took the series in a different way with these, and I know you could walk anywhere with Bowser, but with Mario & Luigi it was constant left and right movement where you couldn't even dodge enemies if you just wanted to get past them because you XP grinded too hard in an area and you don't need to fight, so you'd have to constantly fight or get into battle and have to run away because you were stuck in a 2D space, which makes it very hard to dodge enemies. Also, if we're talking about the remakes, Bowser Jr.'s Journey is absolutely such a bore to get through. I absolutely hated this extra game mode, and same thing with Superstar Saga. When it came to Bowser's Minions or whatever it was, just once again, a side story I didn't care about, and also gameplay that was just boring and a snore to get through. Then that leads me to Dream Team. Once again, the 2D sections, not a big fan of, but there's some other things that I really don't like about this game after going back to it. I hate these stupid gyro controls. Like, genuinely, they are the worst with the 3DS, and I know there's some people out there that never had a problem with them, but me, there must be something wrong with my 3DS then, because it is absolutely horrible. But it's not just me, because I looked online and there are threads of people having the same issues against the giant bosses like the Z-Keeper and Bowser, where the gyro controls will just go haywire and do whatever they want to do. I don't know why they were implemented. They don't need to be here, and it just kind of took me out of the experience when I had to keep fighting a boss, especially in hard mode, when all I needed to do was slightly tilt to the left or tilt to the right. That could have been done on a stick. And also, Dreamy Bowser Bowser is kind of a whack final boss that I feel like people give too much credit for. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just sitting there fighting him and watching him heal, and fighting him and watching him heal, and fighting him and watching him heal. Yes, there's ways around it, and there's things that you can do to bring him into the foreground, but personally, I'm not a fan of Dreamy Bowser. It was kind of like a thing where you needed to be leveled up enough or this battle would just go on forever, it seemed like. It was just an endless final boss battle. Which leads me to another complaint being the level up system. Oh my gosh. To get to the final rank, it is an extreme grind. You're going to literally have to just grind green beans in the dream world over and over again, and it takes forever. I don't know why they made that so high and who would really want to get to that level, but man, it is a very long time to do so if you really want that extra rank. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam is not a fan favorite because of course it takes Sticker Star Paper Mario and chucks it into this game, and all of the blandness of Sticker Star is pushed into Mario & Luigi. You have basic enemy types, basic world design, pretty much basic everything. But I feel like the thing that really makes this game bad for a lot of people is the paper craft battles, and I've only played this game once and it was a long time ago when it first released, so I can't really tell you exactly how these battles played out and what I think about them. It's been too long, but I do remember them being clunky, very long, and drug out battles that I just didn't care for. That felt like a huge decline from the Giant Bowser and Giant Luigi battles. Then we have the Mario Rabbids games, and for the first one with Kingdom Battle, I have not played it in so long, so I can't even remember what the worst parts of this game was. It was a pretty solid game all the way around. I'd say probably the boring overworld exploration. Yes, you can move around the world, but it was just kind of going from level to level, and there really wasn't a lot of places to go off and explore off the beaten path, so it was pretty linear and straightforward. For Sparks of Hope, I'd say probably just the annoying enemy archetypes. Honestly, I really had to come up with something else for this one, and to me, this one was pretty frustrating. It was just simply due to the fact that some enemies were just so annoying. I genuinely hated missions with them in it. Like the sniper wolves, who literally had the ability to snipe you if you move, which mimics Mario and Luigi's move as well. But seeing an enemy do it, it was horrible. And also the depleters, which were super annoying to take out, and same with the feline rabbits, which could draw you in and just completely obliterate your health with one hit. So I feel like I'm definitely reaching when it comes to something negative for Sparks of Hope, because overall I think I had a good time overall. The only other thing I think I'd say is Sparks of Hope's bosses were kind of lackluster compared to the previous game. Now before we finish up, let's move on to some of the spin-offs, and I want to start off with the Luigi's Mansion games. Luigi's Mansion 1 was just very quick to beat, with little to no cutscenes or story, and I think the worst part probably is all the boos. The boos in this game were terrible, as they could easily move on from room to room, and just sucking them up felt weird as you were just like sucking up air. You couldn't even really physically feel them going into the vacuum. For Luigi's Mansion 2, I'd say definitely the mission structure. That really hurt this game, just going in and out of the same mansion and having to go through the same floors over and over and over again was pretty tedious and annoying. And for Luigi's Mansion 3, what I feel to be almost a flawless game, I'd say probably the worst part was the final boss. It was a real letdown seeing all the crazy things that you could do in some amazing boss battles in this game. The ending of the game was just a big letdown. And then to end this video is a series of Yoshi games. Starting off with Yoshi's Island, which is extremely hard to find something. I think this game is great, but I'd say probably it's extremely hard to 100% this game. There's so many things that you gotta do, like literally trying your best not to take any damage, finding those red coins and getting all the flowers. It is a huge task in order to do so. Yoshi's Island can be pretty difficult. Yoshi's Story was pretty weird. I'd say the biggest part with this game is the weird fruit mechanic, where if you didn't collect enough fruit, you had to go back through the level and you would keep cycling through from beginning to end. It wasn't just get to the end of the level, you had to find fruit, which is the main gimmick, but to me it was a little strange. So also with this method, you could just miss huge sections of the stage if you just collect every fruit that you come up on, so it was kind of just like a short, easy, and underwhelming game. Yoshi's Island DS is also a game that I have not played in a very long time. I played it when it first came out when I was little, and I can't really remember a whole bunch about it, so I had to go online and see what people really hated about the game, but I saw a lot of people said that the music was just bad in comparison to the original, and some people didn't like the swapping of the babies, which I thought was one of the best parts, but overall people would just compare it to the original and it just wasn't as good as its OG. For a Yoshi's New Island, oh my gosh, I hate this game. Honestly, it's one of my least favorite Nintendo games ever. I just think it's terribly boring and lazy. The kazoo music is terrible. It's the same theme song, just ear-bleedingly in your head all day long. It's stupid easy, it has super boring bosses, and it's just like a baby version of the original game, just repeated in a worse and terrible way. I'm sorry, I will always hate this game. for Yoshi's Woolly World, I feel like the only problem is it's just super easy. It's clear that it's made for kids, so I get it, but you just can't die in this game, and I just feel like everything about this game is just a cakewalk, but it is a fun experience, I will say. I definitely love it more than Crafted World, where moving on to this final game of the list, I'd say is also very easy, but very tedious to 100%, as most of the gimmicks around this game is going through the level forward and then backward, which going through it backward isn't all that fascinating. It's just flipping the stage around and literally like walking the other direction. So I really didn't get that mechanic. And also when it comes to 100%ing the game, you have to do it forward and backward. Yes, 100% it forward and backward with every single level in the game, which was just maddening. It took forever to 100% this game, and it definitely was not worth it. Let me know in the comments down below what your least favorite parts of every Mario game is, and definitely let me know if I missed something or if you disagree with some of my things or you agree. And also, if you really love this video and want to see maybe the best parts of every Mario game, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date and show me how much you really enjoy this by commenting down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.